deceit, craft, trickery, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Is that an impeachable offense? Yes, it is. Impeachable offenses do not have to be statutory crimes. If, for example, someone decided to, say, use the offices of the government, say the presidency, to steer billions and billions of dollars of contracts to their friends and relatives, if, for example, that might have ever happened, that might not constitute a technical statutory violation, but it is an egregious abuse of power that would constitute an impeachable offense. On the other hand, not all statutory crimes are impeachable offenses. If, for example, someone shot a quail out of season, that would be a crime somewhere, I'm sure. Also, if someone were to shoot a man in the face while attempting to shoot a quail, if, again, that would happen, these are all hypothetical situations, that too would be a statutory offense, but not an impeachable crime. In the case of conspiracy to defraud the United States, we have both a statutory crime and an impeachable offense. Now, you heard what was said about the case of Hammerschmidt versus United States and what the Supreme Court said about conspiracy to defraud. But what the hell did that really mean? What it means first is that there has to be a conspiracy. And in the legal sense, a conspiracy is a neutral word. It's not some kind of secret decoder ring thing where people speak in smoke-filled rooms. It's just a neutral legal term that means an agreement to commit a crime. Second, there has to be a fraud. And fraud includes every possible way to deceive. It includes outright lies, of course, half-truths, but it also includes statements that are technically true, yet designed to mislead. Like the Listerine label, some of you may have heard from years ago.
Kills germs by millions on contact. For general oral hygiene, bad breath, colds, and a resultant sore throat.
Now, there was nothing false there. Listerine does kill germs, one supposes. It might make your throat feel better if you have a cold. But the deliberate juxtaposition of those two phrases together made people think that Listerine, in fact, cured colds. And the Federal Trade Commission made them yank that label from the product. Believe it or not, under the law, our highest government officials are, at least in some circumstances, held to the same standard as advertisers. Fraud also includes statements that are made with reckless disregard for the truth. If you're in a position of authority, and you come out and you tell people something with the intent that they're going to rely on it, then legally you're responsible for what you say. You cannot come back later on and say, I had no earthly idea what I was talking about. I was just saying what my subordinates told me to say. In fraud cases, juries are specifically instructed by the judge that statements such as that, ones made with reckless indifference to their truth or falsity, are the exact same thing as a lie. They're fraud. It's also fraud if you continue to assert something publicly after you already know it's not true. Makes sense, doesn't it? Then there are false pretenses. Just making people feel so afraid, for example, that they'll go along with whatever you want.
Attorney General John Ashcroft, October 29, 2001. Officials do not know how or what might be attacked, but police and citizens should be on the highest alert.
FBI Director Robert Mueller, May 23, 2002. There is a serious possibility that terrorist scuba divers will attack sometime during the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. The Brooklyn Bridge, the Statue of Liberty, tall apartment buildings, and subways nationwide are also under threat.
Homeland Security Director Tom Ridge, February 10, 2003. All Americans should immediately stock up on duct tape and plastic sheeting to protect against biological and chemical attacks.
And finally, you can commit fraud through omission, just by not telling people information that they would need to know in order to make their decision. So first, you need a conspiracy. Second, you need a fraud. And third, the objective of this fraud and deceit needs to be, at least in part, directed towards interfering with or obstructing or affecting the function of a branch or agency of government. Now, once upon a time, at least, the United States Congress was a branch of government. And oversight of foreign affairs, including the declaration of war and spending for war, was one of its functions. Therefore, a fraud aimed at interfering with Congress's decision about those matters would be prohibited by Title 18, United States Code, Section 371. So if any of you are law students out there, you're fully prepared to take the bar exam, at least on the issue of fraud.